Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Friday and welcome to Storyteller's Corner. This week we are going to the world of Pirates of the Caribbean and focusing on Will Turner and Elizabeth Swan. Will, Elizabeth, and Adventure. Will is the son of a pirate, although he doesn't know that at first, and Elizabeth is the governor's daughter. Will grows up to be a blacksmith who's also a fair hand at the sword and is desperately in love with Elizabeth, who he sees as being unattainable. Elizabeth becomes a lady, and she has a fascination with pirates, and she's expected to marry the local commodore, as would have been common during those times. But all that goes out the window when Elizabeth is kidnapped by pirates, and this sparked a chain reaction in which Will ended up teaming up with another pirate, Jack Sparrow, to rescue her, and this act tied the destiny of both Will and Elizabeth and to the world of piracy going forward. Even after Elizabeth is rescued, she and Will eventually confess their feelings for each other, and we, the audience, think all is going to be well for them, but the characters are even in that moment being swallowed up in the tide of events around them. So enter the East India Trading Company, who has grievances against Jack Sparrow and has no scruples about threatening the lives of Will and Elizabeth to get them involved in order to get at Jack Sparrow, and soon there are revelations that the scope of this issue is actually much larger. So this brings us to the wild natural forces of Calypso versus the controlling corporate East India Trading Company. During the course of the first three movies of this franchise, we are gradually shown that the villain, who I see as being the representative of the East India Trading Company, wants more than just to bring in Jack Sparrow and Will and Elizabeth to heal and, forcing them to do what he wants. The goal is actually to gain control of Davy Jones and his power over those who roam the seas. Now, the solution to this was to release the goddess Calypso, who had in previous years been bound in her bones. When she had her full powers restored, even if Davy Jones was still being controlled by the corporation, she was a counterbalancing force, albeit a very unpredictable one. And essentially the message is that it's better to be at the mercies of the gods than at the mercy of human beings, a sentiment that I find myself agreeing with more and more. The gods are of a higher status than we are, and it's true we don't always understand what they do or why they do it. However, we are much better off taking our chances with them, even if they happen to be in a bad mood, than we are with authoritarian-inclined humans. And the weaker someone is, the worse bully they tend to make if you give them even an iota of power. And even someone who's, strong and confident in themselves and not really interested in micromanaging people, who embodies this false ideal of the benevolent ruler, we should still be wary of that person, because even a benevolent ruler intends to rule. And really, by what moral right does someone rule at all? And better to learn and to live by nature's laws and earn what we have through work and merit than be subjected to the rulership of humans who, in the final analysis, are really no better than we are. So, the outcome for Will and Elizabeth is a tale that is the embodiment of fate, but is also very bittersweet. They were caught up in these larger events, and that not only affected their destinies as a couple and as individuals, but it changed everything for them. During the pirates' battle with the East India Trading Company and Davy Jones, part of the strategy of winning was to steal Jones's heart from the company who held it hostage, stab the heart, thus depriving the company of Jones's power. The catch is that whoever stabs the heart has to take Davy Jones' place, and that means taking over the job of ferrying the souls who died at sea to the afterlife and not being able to walk on land except once every 10 years. It became clear that it would either be Will or Jack Sparrow who ended up doing this, and both of them had their reservations about it for obvious reasons. However, in the battle, Will is mortally wounded, and Jack actually wraps his hand around Will's hand, helps him stab the heart so that Will can survive and Elizabeth can still have the man she loves, albeit under what are now very difficult circumstances. And when you watch the movies, it becomes clear that this outcome was inevitable. Given what was going on and where each character was placed, it just couldn't have gone differently. I think it's a really good example of writing a story about fate, at least of what I've seen it within recent years. And the ending is both happy and sad because Will and Elizabeth, they are finally married. They do belong to each other with all the joy and hope that goes along with that. But it's also quite sad. Will has to be Davy Jones 2.0, and they won't be able to see each other for 10 years. Not exactly the honeymoon of anyone's dreams, and definitely not how you want to set up housekeeping at the beginning of a marriage. But despite all that, I don't find myself getting mad or upset at the ending because the arc makes sense for their characters. And Will and Elizabeth's enduring love actually corrects the dysfunctional dynamic that existed between Calypso and Davy Jones, which ultimately created the scenario in which you had the East India Trading Company at war with Jack Sparrow and everyone else, and that whole mess that dragged so many other people in the world into it. Will and Elizabeth were the rejection of that old dysfunctional status quo. So, that is just my few thoughts on that story. If you'd like to talk about storytelling or really anything else, please come see me at Blackbird's Brew. There's a link to join in the description box below. And as always, please leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.